This is the unknown side of Senator Rand Paul.
Right now we're opening up the capsule.
Licensed ophthalmologist performing cataract surgery. After practicing medicine for nearly 30 years, Washington forced him to give up a huge part of his life.
I thought when I was elected I would actually get to practice medicine and get to do surgery, and then I was told I wasn't allowed other than I can do it for charity. So I do some in Kentucky 4 or 5 times a year.
And now in Latin America. He joined a team of doctors from the Moran Eye Center at the University of Utah to perform hundreds of surgeries in Salama, a town right in the middle of Guatemala.
This is your passion, right?
Yeah, I love doing surgery, and I first got interested in ophthalmology because my grandmother had a lot of problems.
Why Guatemala? Some say it's Paul paving his vision for the future. There's some truth to that, but this Latin connection goes back nearly 20 years. That's when the Hernandez brothers traveled to Bowling Green so Paul could operate on their eyes.
Hold your hand. Mira aquí.
Here in Salama, this ophthalmologist is one of only 2 serving nearly 1 million people. In the U.S., there's one for every 20,000. And with more than half of all Guatemalans living below the poverty line, even with access, most can't afford eye care. So people lined up early and waited patiently for a chance to see again.
Bendecir. I feel blessed by them helping people who lost their sight, and they will be able to gain it back, God willing.
My problem is I cannot see anymore. I had eye problems since I was a baby.
When you go blind, you can't contribute, you're not helping the family, and typically it takes 1.5 caregivers for every blind person.
39 million people in the world are blind. 90% of them live in poverty, and most of them could be cured if they had proper access to eye care. Young children in developing countries who go blind only live another year or 2. That's why doctors here put up with the cameras and chaos following Paul, hoping it will shine a light on the burden of global blindness.
It's just great to have another doctor, someone who's willing to come here and work in challenging conditions.
Paul wanted to focus attention on his surgical skills, but when he invited the cameras, some suspected was to cast himself in a new light for some conservatives who see him as weak on foreign policy, something he calls a dirty rumor.
Some of the narrative is driven by people who are competitors who would like to be the one leading the party or leading what our party stands for. But the bottom line is I'm a big follower of Ronald Reagan and believe in peace through strength, and I believe it's the #1 priority of the government is to defend us against foreign attack.
This year, authorities have apprehended more than 60,000 unaccompanied children and another 60,000 adults with children illegally crossing the U.S. border, many from Guatemala. Senator Paul talked with the nation's president about a solution he thinks could ease the pressure.
There are thousands of people who in America who want to adopt kids from Guatemala. A lot of kids don't have parents or don't have sufficient support here. So really, part of the answer is legal immigration. Let's have more legal immigration. Let's have more adoption.
And when it comes to Washington's immigration stalemate, Paul's sticking to his demand to secure the border before anything else.
But it's interesting, securing isn't always sort of fence or barbed wire or things like that. Securing is also having an adequate work program, because we actually want people to come to our country to work. 400,000 people come to pick crops every year in America. So it's a matter of trying to figure out how to do it in an orderly fashion.
Meanwhile, he's sending all the signals that he's running for president.
I think all of us want to do what they're most effective at doing, and it's whether or not that'll be as a senator from Kentucky or as a physician from Kentucky or running for another office. It's whether or not you can have an effect and an impact and do something that will make the country better.
And while this trip may have helped gain positive press, for many of these Guatemalans, it was life-changing.
Le doy gracias a él. I thank God for the operation. I feel good. Thanks to God.
Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Salama, Guatemala.